Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and kittens, welcome back to the dark side of the podcast. Thank you. Sorry about the false start. That was my that was my bad. That's the problem with having a good production is there are so many elements you got to get right, and sometimes I brick it. And tonight I absolutely bricked it. Sorry, but you still got to hear the song. Podcast, your home for rational crypto news and objectivity, leaving emotion at the door, talking about what we like, why we like it, and where we see it going. We are not offering financial advice. We are telling you what we do, and that is all. We don't slow down. We don't let up. Full speed is our only speed. I'm your host, Scott, pragmatic investor who has won and lost fortunes. And joining me, as always, is the greatest producer of all time, Belle. How are you doing tonight, Belle?
You know what? It's been a great day today. How are you tonight, Scott?
I got bags of fireworks, man. I'm ready to ready to ring in a happy fourth, man. So yeah, after the show, we're gonna go up there see if I can light my brand new deck on fire. That'll be awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait for this. Either way, you know what? If I blow it up, we'll put it up. We'll stream it, so it'll be excellent. Here at the podcast, we have a tendency to talk about what others are not talking about and bringing the focus onto use case cryptos because, as we know, these are what drive the market and bring innovation to a world that desperately needs it. Status quo, it's no longer acceptable. It's time for a technological revolution. Welcome to crypto and welcome to ThePodocasts, and thank you. And Marston, you've been on the show before with us, haven't you? You've been on here once or twice.
Oh, I have.
Yeah. So you know how we do it, man. Usually I'll come up here and monologue something silly for just a good long run. We're not really going to do that tonight. We're going to actually get into what you guys are doing because for years, and I can't believe that me and Belle have been doing this for going on 5 years. This is our 5-year anniversary of doing this particular stream. And just like Jackal, we've gotten better over the years. You guys have gotten better over the years. You're about to get a whole hell of a lot better over in a very, very short amount of time. And I know, dude, I follow you on Twitter, and you're just blushing to actually roll out the V4, man. And we can't wait for it either. So instead of me monologuing, talking about innovation and all this other stuff, why don't we just bring you the guy that is, in fact, innovating all of this stuff? Ladies and gentlemen, from the Jackal Labs, I give you Marston Connell. Marston, tell us all about yourself.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been here a couple times, but I'm the CTO and co-founder of Jackal Labs, building the Jackal protocol. About to launch V4, which I'm very excited about.
Okay, why are you excited about it, man? We've heard little bits and pieces. Now's the time to just go ahead and belch it all out, man. Let's just get it out. We're going to be seeing it here in a few days. So let's hear what we're in for.
Yeah, so big one is just user experience improvements. That's like probably the biggest thing if I could pick one thing to talk about. The protocol's going to feel a lot better to use, like 10 million times better to use. Uploads are going to be faster. They're going to be a little more responsive feeling. And all of the on-chain interactions are just going to be smoothed out a lot. The dashboard's going to get a huge revamp with that because we can do so much more now. And with all that comes the econ changes that we proposed a couple months ago. So that's all going live, switching some of the protocol to real yield, which is really, really exciting. So that means like all of the storage providers aren't going to be paid out of protocol inflation anymore. Instead, it's just all going to be tokens that are actually used to purchase storage, go straight to the storage providers instead, which is a huge improvement for just like the total sustainability of the protocol.
Yeah, and that's where it's going to come down to it. You guys are off to one hell of a good running start, man. Now, I've been covering Jackal forever and ever, dude. This is my wheelhouse. All right, this is where I live is data storage. I've spent my entire life in data storage. I know value, and I saw it with you guys from right from the get go. Now, I've always loved your price. That's kind of the big thing. $8 per terabyte. Every wallet I have, and that's several of them, dude. I've bought like years because I know it's going to change in V4, and I know that price is not going to stay at $8 per terabyte. There's no way it can. You've built a product that you could easily sell to enterprise for $40, $50, $60 per terabyte as opposed to $8 per terabyte, because you offer all the features that any kind of enterprise client would be looking for, such as redundancy. And for some reason, it never really gets mentioned or talked about too much. I talk up all the time because I'm looking at this just seeing big ass dollar signs, but people never really, for some reason, the idea of a self-healing network just kind of gets passed over as if it's Filecoin or Arweave or something like that. Now, you guys have absolutely cracked the code with this. Why don't you explain, while you're here, what a self-healing network is? Because to my knowledge, you guys are the only ones doing it. Why don't you explain why that matters?
Yeah. So in traditional, like kind of Web3, I say traditional, I mean Web3 storage, you create like file deals. And these file deals are used to keep track of your file. They're used to show that the storage provider still has it and manage all the kind of like monetary policy around that file deal. That's really cool. The problem is if a provider that's holding your file stops actively proving that they have that file, you know, based on the how the protocol works, the protocol can assume that that file is no longer available on that storage provider. You know, maybe the provider went down, maybe they just got data corruption. That can happen. So what happens then is that file deal kind of just fizzles out. You get refunded your tokens that you put into it in the case of Filecoin, because the provider can no longer offer that anymore. That sucks. So when you're on Filecoin or other storage protocols, you have to create your own copies of that file. And you can do this a few ways. On Filecoin, you just basically have to upload the same file multiple times. On like Arweave, there's platforms that kind of take your file and split it into chunks and then post a bunch of them so that you can recover. But then you're using kind of a central manager of all of that. Jackal takes a very different approach. And this is kind of some of the beauty of using like the Cosmos SDK and having these modular blockchains that, you know, Filecoin doesn't necessarily have, or Arweave doesn't necessarily have, is we can run actions every block, every 10 blocks, every 100 blocks, however often we want to run automated actions on the chain. The validators can automatically do that for us. So they can check every block, every 100 blocks, whatever the parameter is set to on governance, if the storage deal still exists. And if it's not being actively proven, the storage provider goes down, the chain can detect that and ask a new provider to take on that role of filling in that spot, because we automatically create 3 copies of every single file deal, which means that if one provider does go down, the chain can step in, tell the providers to fill in that spot. Though a random provider, whichever one claims that spot, will download that file from the other 2 providers and then just start back up as if nothing happened. And that's all automated. So you don't have to manage your redundancy. There's no central third party managing it for you. It's pretty much the only storage protocol doing this right now, which is crazy because it is so incredibly helpful to keep your files alive.
And it's also so incredibly important because it seems like every day we're looking up about Google nuked this server spot and all their data's gone, and we just see this constantly. You know what? It seems to hit really, really heavy in the government agencies. I see this stuff constantly from these government, but you know, I mean, these guys are 5 years behind everything else, so they wouldn't really understand any of that or understand the necessity of it because it's not their data. So of course they're not in any kind of big rush and to do something like that. But that's actually the other thing that again I don't understand how it gets missed so much is that you're basically getting 3 copies of your data. And it's the same price as if it wasn't. Every time you have to make a new deal on Filecoin and set it up on everybody else, you're paying for it again. You guys actually you just give it away. You say, yeah, here you go.
Yeah, that's kind of the funny thing is we keep advertising $8 a month per terabyte, and you know it's changing in V4, but you know, jumping to $15 a terabyte. Realistically, it's actually $5 a terabyte because you get 3 terabytes all the time. And the way V4 works is you can actually adjust that redundancy. So if you want 6 copies of a file instead of just 3, you can totally tell the protocol to do that. But you will use double the amount of storage that you'd use to just hold that file regularly. That also means if you're really willing to take that risk, you can drop it down to one, treat it like Filecoin, and get your storage for $5 per terabyte per month, which is really fun. We don't recommend it. That's
No.
for developers that are wanting to manage their own redundancy, but you can totally do that if you want.
So, are you going to grandfather in the existing customers that have paid you for years on day?
Yeah,
We're still getting it at $8, right? You're not going to come back and after the fact and say, well, it was a lot harder for us to do than we thought, so you're going to have to pay us more money now. Are you doing something like that, or are we just grandfathered in?
yeah, you're just grandfathered in. So all the storage plans that exist, they're all on chain. They're going to stay exactly the same. It's just in the future, if you want to go and upgrade that plan to new storage, buying that new storage will come at the new cost.
So it would be in the interest of anybody who plan, because we're going to get all the features of V4. Is that correct? Even on the
Absolutely. Yeah.
grandfather plan. So for any of us that are using this protocol now, it would make absolute sense to go and upgrade right now before you list the new pricing model, because it sounds like we're just getting everything over here at about a 70 or 70% discount on what you're about to be charging for this for this protocol. Or am I
Yep.
misunderstanding everything here?
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I know. I freshened up
Yeah.
I freshened up everything right now. I mean, as soon as it went up, the signaling prop went up. I just went through and refreshed everything. It's it's $8, dude. Come on, it's $100 for a year, and look
Yeah.
what you get for it. And we're all kind of cool with it. So we'll get right back to Marston. I did have to put this out though, so I agreed to. I'm going to pay. We're looking for ideas right now. That's what we're looking for on here, and not so much Jackal. I think they have their own ideas, but now that Aegis is ready to roll out, we personally are looking for the next thing that we may or may not be able to do if there's something that's interesting there. So I don't expect people to just give me something. I want to pay you for your time. I want to pay you for your ideas. So we got 1,000 Jackal. Marston's going to decide who wins this 1,000 Jackal tonight. It's not even on Bell. So if you think that there would be a good fit for Jackal to do something that I haven't thought of, or that Bell hasn't thought of, or that Marston hasn't thought of, Patrick, the Jackal team, if it's something that is of interest to you, we see value in it. Marston says, that's a pretty damn good idea. I'm going to give you 1,000 Jackal. So I want to pay you for your time, and we will give it away tonight. He's going to pick something. So let's keep the comments, questions, all that stuff coming in here, man, and let's really, really fill this up. So Marston, I spitballed you a little bit of an idea. Should we talk about this now, or should we save that for the second segment?
No,
Which
we
way
can
you want
talk
to go
about
with
it
it?
now.
Okay. So what I thought would have been a really, really cool thing is when I open up my folders, I'm going to go third screen here. I'm going to move this right over to the third screen so everybody can see it. Windows. All right. It's clear that I'm using Windows. You guys can see all this stuff. I'm pretty sure Marston does not use Windows. He seems more of a Linux kind of guy, but I'm very low rent and non-technical as far as this goes. So I thought, how neat would it be if I had a folder over here that looks like all these other folders, like the Aegis folder and all this stuff. By the way, the Aegis folder, guys, you're gonna be digging this. But how cool would it be to have a little folder over here that said Jackal? Or that's just, let's call it Jackal. That said Jackal, and that I can take folders, pictures from anywhere over here, slide them into the Jackal folder right there, and then they just upload to Jackal. That we could do this, and we could abstract away the Web3. How cool would that be? Because that's a product that I would use every single day. I mean, multiple times a day. Everything I have would be backed up over there to Jackal. How cool would it be to do something like that? So I asked Marston about it. I said, is something like that possible? And Marston said, that's where you
Yeah,
talk, bro.
we're pretty much doing it. It's really early days, but it's kind of one of those products that we've had kind of on the roadmap for a while as like a idea, and we weren't really sure when we'd be able to do it. We knew it'd have to be after V4 to get that good user experience, but when we got Coney Daddy to do our first video, he was like, guys, I use Dropbox. I want a Dropbox like experience on my desktop to upload all these videos so that I can like share these videos with you guys as their work in progress. I want to use Jackal for that. And from that moment, we were like, we got to do it. We 100% have to. And then we brought Coney Daddy on staff full time as the creative director, and like it's pretty much every week he shares something new with us, and he's like, "This would be awesome if I could put it on Jackal on my desktop." So we just have to keep saying, like, after V4, when we can get that user experience going. But yeah, we're gonna build out a platform for Windows, Mac OS, Linux that just kind of syncs up folders on your desktop to the Jackal protocol in a fully decentralized way. So it's still going to be like a crypto wallet. It's all going to be automated, so you're not going to notice that you're even using crypto, which is really cool. And we've got, there's a lot to think about for like the security elements of something that just lives on your desktop, because you basically have to build in like a seed phrase into it and all that. And that's where it becomes really kind of iffy with the security. But we have a lot of ideas floating around, and there's probably going to be a lot of like off the Z transactions, so that you don't have to actually use your seed phrase to interact with your wallet, just kind of like a temporary grant. And that should improve security a lot over a product like that. And we're really excited about it, but yeah, still early days.
And it's also going to abstract away all of the Web3. See, now I've been a huge fan of this. In fact, I've torpedoed any partnership relationship that I've had with virtually anybody out here in crypto, because I am 100% convinced that the entire paradigm of crypto has changed. All right. It's no longer about science fair projects and $38 billion worth of funding to build something that has no consumer appeal whatsoever. I think those days are gone. I think they're past. The paradigm has already happened. And actual DeFi products, DePIN projects, such as Jackal, such as Akash, such as Kudos, I think these are the things that are going to be pulling out of the end of this little crypto bubble that we were in. And it's similar to what happened in off the .com bust. Not pets.com is no longer alive, but Amazon is. So it's the application of the tech that carried on. And for here in the crypto world, it's going to be the application of the blockchain tech that is going to be pulling all this stuff out of here. That's why I've done this. We're actually doing that with going to be doing that with Aegis too. I think you guys, I'm not sure if we'll beat you to it. It really doesn't matter, man. All the data goes to Jackal. It's good for you. It's good for us. It's good for everybody. But I think our different, because we're mobile, because Aegis is mobile, so we're gonna have it sync with the folder on your desktop with your mobile, with Aegis on your mobile phone and all that other good stuff. We're trying to make it that one, that pure consumer experience where the consumer doesn't have to worry about anything. That's it. You download it, here it is. You pay, everything else is taken care of. That's kind of what we're going for. It sounds like you guys are doing the same thing. So yeah, man, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be it's going to be great, man, because this is going to blow people's minds when they're actually getting like the iCloud experience, but it's fully blockchain, private, secure, self-custody, everything that iCloud isn't, but it will be now, and it's still cheaper. It's still cheaper than what we have on everything else, man. Even at $15, dude, it's cheaper. Anybody here, I put it out to the audience right now. Go to your iCloud, go to anybody you want, and see how much it's going to cost you for 1 terabyte of hot storage mobile cloud, terabyte of cloud hot storage. Tell me how much it's going to be. I will certainly appreciate it. And I think it'll start to clear some stuff up about why we're doing what we're doing. Anyway, I know we got questions. We got comments. I am basically done with the interview. This is going to go between Bell and Marston for the time, for all the rest of it. But if you could, please, guys, give us 60 seconds. No songs tonight. Give us 60 seconds. Let us reshuffle things around here a little bit. We'll be right back. The rest of the interview, it belongs to you guys. Cheers. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and kittens, welcome back to the podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is my favorite part because I get to like turn off my microphone and just drink, and I get to spectate a really, really good interview. So with that, I got nothing else. Belle, please take it away. Dazzle everybody. It's you and Marston. It's your show, and go.
Yeah, everybody is pitching in with a lot of ideas, so I'm going to go ahead and just jump in. Microman, Jackal use idea. Court documents, evidence, witness statements all need secure storage. Defense and prosecution submit evidence, discovery, etc. to a secure Jackal vault run by a multi-sig wallet.
Yeah, that's funny enough, like very close to why Jackal exists, is because we were looking for a place to store digital evidence, and that's a pretty good use case. Even just having like a police Dropbox where you submit something encrypted with their public key, that type of stuff is really, really cool and really super applicable to how the protocol works.
All right, Nuclear Chicken coming up with another idea. International media and whistleblowers so they can record and save data to the cloud that might get them killed, especially in places like Iran, Ukraine, Russia, Boeing employees, etc.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally possible. Really cool thing about Jackal is like, nobody at Jackal Labs controls what files are able to be stored. So as long as there is a storage provider out there that is comfortable storing your data, you're good to go.
All right, Microman. Another idea, simple one. I'm using Flickr for my photo storage at the moment, but they keep increasing costs. A photo sharing app built on Jackal would allow me to control access for a decent price.
Yeah, that is totally doable. There's a few things that would make the user experience really, really good that aren't really possible right now without some centralization, like automated sharing. I'm on like an NFT being sold. So if you're trying to sell those photos on a marketplace, there has to be kind of a back and forth, slight automation involved in that. But we're working probably, I want to say V6, we'll have something a little more robust to enable those like automated sharing systems. So,
All right, next one coming in from from Microman. Another idea, link my Jackal account to my home security cameras and or my car's dash cam. Secure storage, maybe even with evidence quality date stamps.
Oh,
yeah,
daddy, what a money shot that would be.
That's pretty good. So we have some ideas floating around, kind of like a Jackal Connect type system where you give individual devices or applications their own seed phrase, and then you kind of authorize those to interact with certain folders on your Jackal account. So you can have like, home footage, car footage, all that stuff. And you can sandbox those applications because those applications have their own seed phrases and their own Jackal addresses. You can sandbox them into those individual folders. And then you can use like fee grants and everything. So those, you don't even have to manage tokens on those things. They just pay for gas from your like actual account. And that way, if your car gets compromised or something, you can lock that out and still keep all of your data where it is. That is like a library that we're wanting to work on and make a really robust connection system so that you can have those applications that are really easy to build without needing to like rewrite an entire wallet every time you want to build your own platform.
Let me dogpile on that for just a second, Belle, because this is definitely a Marston question. Is there any way that you guys could implement some kind of file compression on your side? Because I love that idea, by the way, of just having my home video cameras just pumping to Jackal, anything on my car just pumping to Jackal. But those files are big. and endless loops of those things going on, dude, is going to fill up my data in like absolutely no time. Have you guys maybe considered some type of compression you can do on your side, or implement some kind of Arctic storage where we don't really care how hot it is, because this is stuff that we're not going to be revisiting in an active environment, that you could actually put those, just bury those things away on some big petabyte servers. They'll never see the light of day ever again, but something like that, and maybe, you know, put that all together as an entire system. Because you know who would love something like that, who I would love something like that? Tesla. You know how many do you know how many cameras are on a Tesla? How nice would it be anytime you enter a hotspot, your Tesla knows, okay, I'm in a public hotspot, great, I'm going to clear all my data, I'm going to send it up to Jackal. Is something like that possible?
Yeah, so there's a few things there. As far as compression goes, Jackal's really unopinionated. So it does all of the encryption and everything. But if you're looking to store compressed data, any application that's wanting to store that compressed data, it's kind of up to them to compress it. Jackal will store that compressed data, but for like camera feeds and everything, whatever platform you're using to get that data from your camera to Jackal, it's at that point that you're gonna want the compression to be implemented. So Jackal kind of takes a hands-off approach to that, but it's definitely doable. And then kind of the other side of the coin that you were mentioning there is like having your your camera footage just like automatically back up at any point. That's exactly what we want to do with kind of that like Jackal Connect. If like, you know, Tesla wanted to hook in an API, your Tesla has its own seed phrase, and it's just automatically pumping stuff up to the cloud the second it goes, the second it can, basically. That's like kind of our dream situation.
All right.
I'm all done, Bell. Carry on.
All right. So next one coming in from Nuclear Chicken. Jackal use idea to stop the memory hole. Things get disappeared from the internet will happen more with AI. When videos and articles added for 200 years publicly, anyone can use it to fight snoops.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. The beauty with Jackal, as you definitely know, is that kind of 200-year storage. If you upload an article, you can prove the date it was uploaded, and it has a file hash and everything built in. So you can go to that like hosted website or whatever, view that page, and know that's the exact original page that you were looking at. And then anybody can continue that. Like if if you have like a community that really likes this file or wants to keep a website up, they can continue to fund that file and add more years onto it. So as long as there are people out there that want to keep a file alive, they totally can.
Sir KJK, Jackal idea. Use Jackal to be the backbone of a pirate streaming site so my favorites won't get shut down. Paying for movies is the devil.
Yeah, well, it's
Look how
possible.
delicate.
I won't advocate for it myself,
So yeah, but bad idea.
Basically, yeah.
All right. So Wolf Bites with the question. Is Jackal or one of Jackal's dApps ever going to have a credit card option? It might be an easier sell for some Web 2 companies to jump on board with that option.
Yeah, so currently Stratus is kind of our Web 2 client. It's basically an API that wraps around Jackal. You pay with that with a credit card already, and then your files kind of just like hit the Stratus server as kind of a proxy to Jackal. So all of that is managed by Jackal Labs. The credit card payments are managed by Stripe, so it's all secure. And that's how you're dealing with that. We're gonna basically revamp Stratus to make it even better, make it more user friendly for everyone. And then also, I keep going back to it, but that kind of Jackal Connect feature that we keep talking about, giving every application its own seed phrase. What I'd really, really like to do as well is kind of take that and allow social sign-in. So you can sign in with Google, you can sign in with Apple, you can sign in with just an email and password through a Jackal Labs server, pay with a credit card, and then it still acts as its own application, but you don't need to manage the seed phrase. All of that is done by this kind of centralized middleware. So you lose a little bit of that self custody, but you still get all of the other benefits of Jackal. And it's a lot more usable for people who aren't in crypto.
Yeah, 1 second, Bell. I'll give it back to you. Yeah, actually, Aegis is doing that. We're using the whole credit card thing, but we're
Yeah.
routing everything. Astrovault is building out our pay rail. We want to support our partners as much as possible. Astrovault is our partner. You guys are partnered up with Astrovault, so let's keep it all in the home team. And they have a money transmitter license, so they're gonna do that backbreaking portion of that for us. They're gonna get a vig. If you want to really do well, process transactions. All right, that's it. It's not up to you to sell it. It's not up to you to do anything. It's simply process transactions. You have to build things. We have to sell things. And Astrovault's just going to be sitting there going cha-ching, cha-ching every time that we come up with something. But you've said 3 times, I would really like to do this. I think this would be a great idea. Why don't you do it? I mean, you built Jackal, right? This is your protocol.
Yeah, it's a matter of time, really, and just like making sure that we build out the most kind of efficient and like most beneficial to the protocol things. We'd love to build just like random video camera backups. If that's the best thing, we will. Our first kind of like application that we're looking at is that desktop uploader because we think that's going to bring the most data to the
Oh,
protocol now.
yep.
But just trying to manage like that time, like we have so many ideas that we want to iterate on, but we just don't have enough time or a big enough team to do that. So we have to prioritize things.
Patrick won't let you just do your thing, will he? Patrick,
No.
is that it? Go ahead. Yeah, you can blink
Yeah,
Morse
throw him
code.
under the bus.
I can read Morse. I understand Morse code. So go ahead and blink if Patrick is actually beating the hell out of you, and we'll get you help. All right, we can do that because this is what we're here for, man. The good of all. I'm sorry. Carry on, Bell.
Nuclear Chicken with another question. Question on the grandfathering. Is the new price just for the current contract length, or will the future lengths at the same level also be grandfathered? Example, I have 1 year at the $8 per month. Will my price stay at the $8 per month until I upgrade? Or the next time I add time, will that one be at the higher price?
Yeah, so the next time you add time, so basically like any transaction going forward will be priced at the $15 instead of the $8, whether that be adding time or adding storage space.
All right, next one coming in from, and I'm sorry, we've got quite a list of ideas coming in. Next one coming in from Sir KJK, Jackal idea. Or actually, no, I'm a little off there. Sorry. Microman idea: storage of streamed data from aircraft black boxes, engine data.
That would be really cool, especially with that kind of like 200-year storage. The way the 200-year storage works is you can't actually delete the file once it's up. It's like permanent. It's there. You've paid for 200 years. It's going to be there for 200 years. And as I say, that hash makes sure that it's the exact file that you're expecting it to be, which is really, really cool because you can, stream that aircraft data to the Jackal protocol and it will be permanent. It won't be editable. And you can know exactly what happened in that black box all the time, forever, basically.
All right, next one coming in from, and again, back and forth because we've got a lot of them. Next question coming in from Top Cat. Did you already say a time frame when prices are expected to jump? Will that increase when V4 comes out?
Yeah, so it'll be when V4 comes out, which is happening early this month. It's phase 1 of 3 is currently on testnet right now, and we're working through phase 2 on testnet. So should be on mainnet just in a week or two.
All right, next one coming in from Microman. How about an app that connects to my gym apps, my smartwatch, etc., that stores all of that securely so it isn't sold without my control?
See, that would be really cool. And I know like a slightly different note, but I think like one of the biggest data breaches that I can remember was like MyFitnessPal. So like having all of your like health data and like exercise data and all of your eating habits and everything stored in a place that's not going to just get leaked to the entire internet would be really, really great.
Yeah, that definitely would be. Next one coming in from next one coming in from Nuclear Chicken. Jackal idea. A free service so people can post and save memes and cat pictures, just those two specifically. Maybe a limit to how many. Super cheap advertising to take Jackal viral, and those memes and cat pictures would be public for social media.
Yeah, funny enough, we've been thinking about this a little bit, and we're not really sure like how to actually like monetize it, make the user experience fun. But with V4, we came up with this really, really super straightforward platform that it's basically just like an app that has its own seed phrase. It hosts a website, so anybody can go. They can slam it with an image that's like under 1 MB or whatever, and it just uploads it to V4. We threw it up on the V4 testnet a little while ago, and currently there's no storage provider that it's working with. But the idea is it'll just be hosted on IPFS as well as the Jackal like Shepherd Gateway, so you can just like share that around freely and publicly, which is really fun.
One sec, Bell. I want to dogpile on this one as well. So hear me out, Marston. So Radiant, big fan.
Yep.
I love it. I love the fact that it is so like DOS 3.2. I love. I love that. I'm a big fan of nostalgia. All right, nostalgia. We saw it doesn't matter. That new Pixar movie, Inside Out 2, and Nostalgia, that kept coming out. That's me. Nostalgia's in charge of my console, so I love nostalgia. What about something like this on Radiant? Just a universal app that anybody can get up there and upload anything to it. Anything. So with Radiant, it is a one-time fee for the file. Is that correct?
Yep.
And that file can never, ever, ever be deleted. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what about we make up a nice generic UI that has no particular wallet features to it or anything like that, meaning that we have one central wallet. Anybody can actually get up there. They can't manipulate any tokens or anything like that, but they can upload data. So anybody could go up there and upload anything on it, anything whatsoever. And if I was to like fund that thing for, I don't know, let's just say I'll throw in $5,000 right up front, and we keep going until we burn, and then we group fund it. So anybody that wants to pitch in, they're more than welcome to pitch in, and we just see what ends up on there. No,
I'm this is something like that.
It's a complete social experiment. I would be so curious just to see what would end up on there. Literally put it up there. Anything you post is going to be up here for 200 years, and it can never be deleted. That's correct, right? It can never, ever go away.
Yeah, you'd have to have every single storage provider refuse that file.
Why is that?
Well, like, so the way the storage providers work, they can technically opt to like burn a file off their machine if they don't want it. Being public, they can technically see what it is because it's public. So in that case, they'd be able to kind of see what file is coming onto their machine and, kick it off their machine. But because of the way the protocol works, you'd need every single storage provider to not take that file.
So you would see that as critically dangerous, huh?
Yeah, if every single storage provider was doing that, then I would argue it's probably for the best.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I would just love to see it as a meme depository. The problem is that we need a scrubber, because for all the sick stuff that people on the internet are going to be tempted to put up there, we would need something to scrub it out. We would need to scrub out all of the stuff.
Put a filter on the front end, I would say, so that it blocks it before you can.
Could you build a filter like that?
I've never done it, but I'm sure there are systems that exist to do it that are pretty plug and play.
So if you want to talk about marketing on a grand scale, this means something like this that appeals to the Web 2 world, everybody if you had a filter like that that would keep the truly repulsive stuff up there, because it would just be slammed with memes and little inner thoughts and stuff like that,
Yep.
and just people saying hi Marston, that would literally be a Word doc that is uploaded to that just to see something like that. But if you could build a filter like that, you're talking about something that has the potential to go viral. I mean, and we're talking about viral all the way out there. I think it would be incredibly dangerous, but what a way to make a statement. And if you could build a filter to keep the repugnant stuff off there, I'm just saying, man, there might be some there.
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah, we'll think about it. It's a fun idea. Yeah, the only thing is just making sure that filter works really good.
and that's kind of the
Yeah.
kicker, man. But
Yeah.
I mean, you're a smart programmer, right? You know how to do this. I mean, this is kind of your thing, right?
I sure hope I can get something work because that'd be embarrassing.
I'm now excited about this idea, Mel. Marston, in your spare time when you're having nothing to do, dude, build the filter. As soon as you tell me the filter is good, I will fund $10,000 into it right up front. I will personally put $10,000 into it just to see what ends up there. I think it would be a fantastic social experiment with a built-in marketing that the world has just simply never seen. If you put it up, it will never go away, ever. I think it'd be worth the effort for it just from that. Anyway, guys, I know we got a lot more, Bell, but you know how we do it here, all right? We structure the program 60 seconds, guys. We're going to be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and kittens, welcome back to the podcast. Thank you. By the way, we're talking about that. I think that would be the ultimate social experiment. And now I'm thinking about other things that people could use something like that for. Oh my God, dude, that would be epic. Anyway, I'm sorry. Carry on, Belle. It's your show.
All right, Microman with another idea. A document wallet app would be cool. Airline tickets, driver's licenses, supermarket loyalty cards, medical cards as images or interactive data. Maybe that could provide ZKP for ID verification.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to go on that. I don't know if Jackal is kind of a single solution for that, or if it's kind of a combination between, Jackal storage and traditional smart contract technology. But I definitely think that's probably where the world's heading, at least.
All right, Deep House Nation. Healthies. Healthy Selfies, an app where your time-lapse workouts like push-ups and body selfies are uploaded and continually compiled by AI into a single on-demand promotional video.
Yeah, it's as far as like an application goes, that's really fun. Kind of want to touch on the AI stuff and kind of what that can do. We've been talking a lot about it with all of this generative AI stuff, and the big thing is making sure that your data is like private while the AI is training on it. And I've seen some really crazy stuff from the Zama AI team where they were able to take encrypted data and they have an AI model that, it's tweaked a little bit and it's able to run on that AI, like on that encrypted data. And then it spits out an encrypted block, and when you go in and decrypt it, it's a full like LLM model, which is really crazy. So not even the computer that's training the AI can see what your data was or what the AI is going to be, which is the craziest thing I've seen in a very long time. So playing with something like that could be really, really fun for those kind of like private applications that you're talking about.
All right, big boy, replace the broken postal vote for general election happening UK right now. Elections, period. Secure voting.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. Jackal has a storage layer for kind of those like IDs that you can grant, say, like a government employee to go and look over, but without anybody else seeing it. And then once they're done, you kind of revoke that access. That type of stuff is really cool. I know there's a lot of like decentralized identity platforms that are popping up, and some of them are doing some really cool stuff. It's a little out of my depth. I don't really understand how they work 100%, but I definitely think kind of a combo of their tech with like using Jackal as a storage layer for those platforms is a really, really cool like system.
All right, Makoko to Streamwalker. Jackal idea. It's not just storage. There needs to be smart apps like an AI agent to store, and prioritize everything. So have integrated apps that basically track and store everything you do and see like TV shows, music, conversations, etc., and have it all up there for intelligent retrieval anytime, anywhere. Private.
Yeah, and that's, I keep going back to it, those kind of like Jackal Connect situations where you could have, your web browser is connected with Jackal. So everything you're looking at, it's tracking fully privately. And, you can train AI with it. You can do all of that stuff that you mentioned there. But your web browser itself would be its own application that's uploading all the data to Jackal. And again, that would be sandboxed in its own little web folder that it's like uploading all of your data to. It's keeping track of everything, but you don't need to trust that it won't overwrite some of your other files because it's fully within your control of what you're letting it do. That type of stuff, and like those smart agents that just like manage your life for you. That needs somewhere to go, right? And Jackal's kind of positioned itself to be that perfect spot.
All right, PLSK 99 with a question. How is Jackal different from other decentralized data storage like Arweave, Storj? What makes it exceptional?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So, kind of the big core thing is modularity. And what that means is we can do a lot of like little things that build up into a much better protocol overall. And like those little modules that I kind of talk about, the storage protocol itself, it's storing data. That's the core feature. That's great. It's really good at storing data. Filecoin's really good at storing data. Arweave is really good at storing data. What Jackal does is go beyond that data. So we have like a privacy layer on top of that data, where Jackal, the protocol itself, manages all of your privacy. So you don't have to worry about, am I encrypting my files before they upload? Can I share this file with somebody using their public key that I now need to go find? We have a name service. We build that all into the protocol. So you can just type in their name that they've registered and it shares the file with them. It's that easy. And then on top of that, we also have kind of that like Cosmos SDK block adjustment that I was talking about earlier, where our protocol scans the network, like automated. There's no third parties doing it, and it self heals that data. That's something that no other storage network has. Those are kind of the two big ones, is like that privacy and that geo-distributed self-healing data is really, really cool. And that's a foundational element. Because we're modular, we can just keep adding stuff. Like I did a little demo a bit ago where we use Jackal as a data availability layer, very similar to what Celestia is doing, but just on Jackal. And because we're modular, low block times, cheap storage, that's all possible in the exact same way that like other data availability platforms are doing it. But we just happen to be able to do it because of our modularity. So
All right, Political. Use Jackal for deployed military so they can send vids back and forth to their families without the worry of interception by foreign entities.
yeah, we've been talking a lot about that, and just being able to kind of have a device out in the field and be able to like just bulk upload data off of that machine and have it be fully encrypted, but still in the cloud. And, those kind of like military applications are totally there, whether that be for those personal memories or whether that be for kind of more sensitive, actual like military use data.
All right, Idiot Fish with a question. Are you able to talk about the audit process that's been used to check for security risk to V4?
Yeah, so we don't have an official audit as of right now. The storage on the protocol is all set up with that AES 256 for the files themselves. So even under the application where the Jackal storage protocol itself starts acting really, really funny, your data is all secured by standard Nest approved encryption, which means that even if somebody was able to get in there, do a big attack on the protocol, your file isn't going anywhere. Well, your file isn't being accessed by them. The absolute worst thing that could happen to your data, assuming somebody has some way to get into the protocol, which again, we've done countless internal audits, would just be to basically tell the storage providers to get rid of your file. That is the worst case scenario for data, but again, that's why we have that kind of geo-distributed data. But yeah, your data is private no matter what, and that's kind of the big thing that we're guaranteeing all the time is your data is yours. That's it.
And I'm gonna drop in on one from the last question, Politico. Yeah, we already beat you to that, the military thing. It's called Aegis, and you know how you can share files via CLI with other users. Yeah, we already integrated that, so we're all good. We're all good. We're good on that one. Carry on, Bill.
All right, Bud with another idea. Jackal Password Manager mobile app.
Yeah, that's a really cool thing about Jackal is I've kind of mentioned it before, but it's very, very unopinionated about how it wants to store its data. And with V4, we made some changes to the file tree system. Passwords aren't very big. They don't necessarily need to be their own file. And that's the really cool thing about the file tree is right now you create an entry in your file tree. You say like, this is my home folder. And then it points to a bunch of children files, whether that be, your like pictures from your vacation or whatever. You can flip that on its head because all that is doing is it's storing basically a link to a file on a storage provider. So that file tree object is just keeping track of where things are. Instead of making that file tree object keep track of where things are, you can just make it hold encrypted passwords. And then in the exact same way that you would decrypt a file on Jackal, you can just decrypt that password. And so that type of stuff is really, really cool. We haven't really built that out because it's just, again, priorities, but that's something that we've been floating around for a long time is kind of that decentralized password manager, whether that be a browser extension or a mobile app.
All right, next question coming in from Deep House Nation. With enterprise companies thus far, have the business folks or the tech folks been harder to convince about switching to Jackal?
Funny enough, a lot of the technical leads are very, very stubborn and in ways that they really shouldn't be. And it's kind of scary at times when we talk to some of these guys. We'll ask them about problems or we'll present them with use cases and be like, hey, what about this? And, for an example, we had this one conversation where, they were storing all of their data on Microsoft servers. They were using Azure. And we straight up asked them, what happens if Microsoft gets hacked? What happens if Microsoft is compromised? Their answer was, we have two-factor authentication. And, two-factor authentication is really good, but that still puts trust in Microsoft. If you don't know how two-factor authentication works, it's basically just an extra security layer for Microsoft to verify that you are you. But that, again, doesn't solve the problem if Microsoft itself gets hacked. And that was a crazy disconnect. We couldn't get through to this guy at all. And he was a cybersecurity, operational security lead for an Ontario city, just like working in their government department, which is crazy. And it was just like, trying to convince somebody who clearly doesn't really understand what the tech they're even employing does was really difficult.
Wow, just ask any hospital who actually uses a third party company that utilizes Microsoft to store their medical records. What happens when two-factor authentication is not enough? All right. Anyway, before I get started on a rant, nuclear chicken, Jackal idea. Jackal could provide a ledger for transaction history for traditional finance like banks, IRAs, brokerage accounts, etc.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool stuff in that field, especially getting, those old legacy transactions onto kind of blockchain rails. And, you know, the most obvious use case is just throwing that data up onto the protocol and letting it sit there for safekeeping. But something that we really find like crazy fascinating is because we're on blockchain rails and we have smart contracts that are, purely verifiable and all that. If you have a platform where you can have kind of those like basically like outlines of how a program's supposed to run. That's kind of how smart contracts work today. You can store that as a file on Jackal and kind of create this incentive system with like a proving mechanism that we've been bouncing around a little bit just as kind of a fun side project where you basically build like a smart contract layer on the file system, which is really, really fun. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to upload those like bank records, for example, and actually iterate over them and create these like pseudo tokens where you can basically use those bank records that you upload as like CSV files and ingest them into a protocol where you can now view all of those transactions as like blockchain transactions, but they don't need to actually have ever been on the blockchain, which is really, really fun. So there's a lot of like kind of abstraction stuff that you can do there. But just getting that user experience right is kind of the need that time that I keep talking about.
All right, Sir KJK with another idea. Use Jackal to be a portable seed phrase accessible operating system. I download an app or exe and I can get my OS on any device after I put in a seed phrase.
Yeah, so this kind of goes like big picture of just like the internet in general. And it's something I'm a huge fan of. And it kind of goes hand in hand with something like Akash, where you kind of spin up an Akash server or equivalent, and it boots up a virtual machine, right? That's running whatever you want it to run. You build an operating system that's designed to run in one of those containers, and it just basically ships you back the output of what the operating system's giving you. And then, mouse and keyboard, that over the cloud goes in. And then when you're done using that, you can just cut it. It backs up its entire state to Jackal. And then at any moment, you can boot that back up on a different computer anywhere in the world. And it'll just boot back up as your Jackal program. And then again, from there, you just start using it just as you normally were. And then you can shut it down, back it up again. And you basically carry this snapshot of your desktop anywhere, but you can use it on any virtual machine anywhere in the entire world. And, the internet speeds have got to get better. We've got to find better ways to make that happen. But eventually, kind of like that grand vision is these kind of mainframe style computers that we go back to, where, when you're not using your computer is being basically loaned out to somebody else because you don't need it anymore. And you just bounce around. It would be great for saving energy for the planet, as well as just being useful because any device in the entire world could just boot up as your own, which is really, really fun.
Marston, you're almost sitting there. You're kind of tiptoeing around the fringe of a decentralized internet.
Absolutely, I am.
I know what you're doing. I know exactly what you're doing.
It's my dream, Scott. I've been thinking about this. Like, I dream about that, like internet just working like that.
I'm not saying that's too grand a scale. I think that is absolutely fantastic. Are you drinking booze? I just saw you drink. Did you drink?
No,
Is
it's a
that alcohol in there?
Starbucks tea.
Okay, I was gonna say
Yeah.
don't look. This is what booze does to you. All right, don't look like this when you're 30. I'm 30. I'm 31, dude. This is what I
Oh
look like right
yeah.
now. Yeah. Hey, Bell, do we got a whole bunch more? Because we are literally at time. I haven't even got my closing thoughts out here. Do we have a whole lot more?
We've got quite a few more.
All right, look, you're going to have to make the call here. I'm happy to stay on. It's not dark yet, so I can't light up firecrackers. I don't want to take up too much of Marston's time. He's the CTO of a $30 million company, all right? It's not, and we're the podcast, so let's not get nuts here. So I'm happy to carry on if they're happy to carry on. We do have to give the money away, though. That's kind of the thing. I know a lot of people are hanging on for that, and as soon as we do, our viewership drops in half. But that's kind of up to Marston. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to make the call on this one. Marston, of all the ideas that were presented over to you, which one did you actually write down?
You know, I have a bias for it.
Okay, and that's fine, dude. I mean, we didn't discuss this. I don't care about your bias. I care.
I'd love to see it like fully come through as kind of that courthouse use case where you're storing evidence. Like that's my wheelhouse 100%, and I'd love to see that become a reality.
Okay, Belle, whose idea was that, Belle?
Microman, definitely.
Microman, round of applause. There we go.
Shoot
Just
your
like
Jackal address over to me, will ya? You know the email. You know how to get a hold of me.
All right, Belle, let's start lightning rounding these. I know Marston has got to go watch his anime or whatever he does.
All right. So PLSK 99, Jackal looking to hire developers. What's your tech stack?
Yeah, so at the moment, we're not hiring right now. Our tech stack is the Cosmos SDK as our backend chain, as well as a Vue project that we run as the dashboard, as well as just kind of a TypeScript, JavaScript library that sits in between them. And then we have a bunch of Go libraries that we maintain as well.
All right. So Gustav Smith regarding the the social media app with Microman following up with a comment. A filter based on whose standards? And Microman says, well, yeah, don't put old man in charge.
I'll tell you what, I will answer that for him. It'll be based on my standards. All right. I'm a very, very reasonable person, a 100% hardcore libertarian. But there are certain things that simply do not belong on something like this. And if it would be even morally questionable to a reasonable person, I think that's where the filter layer should be. What do you think about that, Marston?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much sums it up. I mean, the website that would be like showing it all would technically be centralized because it has to have a domain name that somebody owns.
Yep.
So whoever owns that is
liable.
They'd be the one being liable. Exactly.
So if it's me putting it up and it's my money, it's going to be whatever I think is appropriate. Now I can branch out there, man. Look, again, what any reasonable person would probably say this is acceptable or not acceptable. I don't care about racy memes. I don't care about strong political opinions. I don't care about any of that stuff. You guys all know what I'm tap dancing around. Those are where the filters would be. Come on, let's be adults. Belle, carry on.
Ambido, how does Audius store their audio files? Would be cool to see Jackal used on their back end someday.
I don't know. We have a few ways that we can store audio files. Raw audio files, that's totally doable, and then you just download it straight from there. Or we've also been experimenting with like Apple's like HSL format, which is open source, even though it's Apple, but basically just allows you to stream audio from static hosted files, which is really, really cool. And that's like ideal for Jackal.
You know, and that's the funny thing, dude. Wow, Bitcoin is just caking its pants right now, by the way. And these are going to be my closing thoughts, guys. Don't worry about that. I have a whole bunch of I got a lot of movies, a lot of songs, a lot of everything that I have up there. I own them. All right, they're my property, and I have a lot of them that are uploaded for Jackal. And believe it or not, dude, I use your protocol an awful lot to play music and to play songs. For me to upload a multi gig, let's just call it 1 gig. It'll take me anywhere from 4 to 6 minutes to actually fully upload that file. So you're a little bit slower, but I'm also encrypting the file on my end before it gets there. Man, look, it is what it is. But for me to pull that file back all the way, you're talking 30, 40 seconds for about a gigabyte file. And now I'm on, 10 gig internet up and down, dude. I pay a lot for it. So I might be a kind of like an outlier on that. But I use your platform for damn near everything. All of my movie streaming, everything, man. I just hit it's hot storage, babe. It comes back super quick. I don't even have to explain it to you. I bet you understand why it comes back so quick. That's what's fun about this. Jackal can do damn near anything already. It's just people are not really putting it through its paces. I love to test, dude. I love to stress test.
And V4 makes it so much better, man, too. Like that upload time that you're talking about, that shouldn't it should be less than maybe 10 seconds from 4 minutes. So
no. Say that again. So if I'm going to upload
V4, most of the time that you're dealing with file uploads right now,
yep.
You're basically testing multiple providers because there's no guarantee that a provider will be online, right?
Yep.
So the way that the workflow would go is you had to basically upload your file. The provider would have to contact the blockchain. And if that failed, you'd have to do that again to another storage provider. Mm-hmm. It works, but if you hit 4 storage providers in a row that fail, you're wasting time doing that round trip on every single one of them. Mm-hmm. V4 flips it on its head. You talk to the chain, and then you just blast your file off to 3 providers at the same time. And then they deal with it after. And it's at that point that it's off your hands. You don't have to do anything.
All right, I'm gonna throw down the gauntlet, dude. You cool with that? Look into your camera, man. I want to make sure you're looking into my eyes. So how long will it take me to upload a 1 gigabyte file on V4?
I can't give you an exact value because it depends on the storage provider's internet
Not
speed.
asking the exact, man. Roughly, I'll give you 20% on either side.
I want to say 30 to 60 seconds. I'd have to throw that out there.
Because that's faster than YouTube. I know, dude. I send up videos all day, every day. I know how long it takes. That's faster than YouTube. That's faster than Twitter. That's faster than virtually everybody. So let's just put a pin in 60 seconds. How about that? Is that fair?
With a good provider, 60 seconds.
Okay. Then when V4 goes live, I'd love to have you back right here, and we're going to test in production. Are you comfortable with that? We will literally, I'll pull up third screen. We'll send up the file. You and I will both agree that it's a 1 gigabyte video file, and we'll send it up. Are you cool with that? You're comfortable?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Because, dude, that blows up everything. As somebody who uploads a lot of data, that is shockingly fast. So I'm very eager, very, very eager to see that happen. Mel, carry on, please. And remember, we are over time here. I don't want to take up any more of Marston's.
All right, Microman. Can I just say I love it when we get Marston on and do a deep dive into the tech? Fascinating. All right, next one.
Happy to be here.
Look at Marston. He says nothing. I don't. What?
I know. I know.
I love the guy.
All right. So, Gustav Smith, Marston, are you interested in running for president? You've been handling a barrage of incredible questions and you haven't even blinked.
Well, even if I was, unfortunately, I am Canadian born and bred, so I can't. But I also probably wouldn't want to get into politics just for my own sanity.
Can you run for president of Canada? Can he do that? You guys have a president, right?
Prime Minister.
I know, dude. I'm just busting balls. So what do you think about that, man? Or put you and Patrick up there. You guys can tag team it. Jackal Prime Minister. You ready with it? Because it's great, man. Canada has definitely got their shit together over the last few months, man. I read the news. Carry on, Bill.
Yep.
All right. Amado, has Jackal ever approached music production services like Splice or Loop Cloud? I imagine both of those companies have large data storage bills.
Not yet. We're really focused on getting those kind of Web3 platforms onboarded initially, and starting with kind of smaller Web2 platforms so that we can kind of, manage expectations around how quickly our kind of bridges between Web 2 and Web 3 can funnel data onto the protocol. Um, because of the way that the protocol works, those central bridges aren't quite as seamless as just AWS. So we're constantly iterating on those things, but we don't want to blast them with those like massive companies' data sets right out of the gate.
All right, Ambido, does Marston have any insight on how companies like Apple or Spotify deal with their data storage? Is it all in-house or do companies bid to get contracts?
Um, Scott, honestly, man, you probably have more like experience than I do. A lot of it's in-house. When you get into the bigger companies, medium-sized companies do a lot of outsourcing to like, AWS or Microsoft Azure. But I would have to assume that everything in Spotify is in-house. Everything Apple is in-house. Obviously Amazon's running AWS. They're not really outsourcing things. So small and medium size, that's up for debate. It depends how technical they are, but yeah, big ones definitely in-house.
That's funny. How come nobody ever asked me those questions, Bell? I build the goddamn data centers. I've spent my entire life in those. Yes, I understand start to finish how these things operate, how they deal with what we call the mom and pop shops and all that other good stuff. I could literally lay you out the service level agreements that are signed between all of these different things. I've devoted my entire life to this. So yeah, I can answer those questions, but for some reason, everyone just, oh no, I'm not a talking head, babe. This is my life. This is what I do. Ambido, hit me up, email, dude. I'll explain it all. Bell, carry on.
Nuclear Chicken, if Jackal were to 100x in the number of users overnight, would it affect the download time until you scaled? And if so, how long would it take to scale?
Yeah, that's a really, really great question. If we 100x users overnight, the storage protocol would get a lot of money really fast, right? And so that would mean the storage providers are getting a lot of money really fast. And if the storage providers can't sustain that, then they're incentivized through that newfound money to expand those servers. Currently, right now, the network can totally support 100x. I could support 1000x overnight and be totally fine. Probably once you get into 100,000x, a million x more data on the protocol overnight, you'd hit some bottlenecks pretty quick. But then we'd have, storage providers itching to get started because they'd be making so much money.
Well, and that's kind of the funny thing. We provide storage on Jackal. We've been providing storage for you guys for a long, long time. Everything class 2 data center, man. Look, our stuff's tip top because a niche market has actually been developing. And this is funny, Marston. I don't know if you guys have talked about this at all. With the rise of AWS, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, just all these data centers just taking over the entire planet right now. It's actually created a sub-market in these what we call mom and pop shops. These are the smaller class 2 data centers that were everything that was necessary for the time before we started expanding and putting everything on the cloud. These guys got completely choked out by Amazon Web, by Facebook, by Microsoft, but they still exist. Their servers are still there, and they give us the best damn deals if we use them as opposed to going with everybody else, man. So yeah, the opportunity here is huge. And the fact that I absolutely foresee you guys doing this, it's not going to happen overnight, man. It's going to be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. But you are going to give basically a second a resurrection to these mom and pop data centers that really do not want to bend the knee to Microsoft, Amazon, and all these other good people. And you're truly creating a enterprise level solution in a secondary, tertiary market, and it is fantastic. We are friendly. Bell and I are friendly with not one but two of these people. And yeah, if you were to ring my phone and say, "Holy shit, we need 4 petabytes of data." They're up, dude. You gotcha, man. I'm not, and the reason that we're so concerned about this again is because we're going to be launching a mobile app. I'm sure you're familiar with it. We've talked. It's a hell of a lot easier.
Are you?
Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, it's pretty cool. And the more cool stuff you dream up, the more stuff that we can integrate. Because thanks for your hard work, babe. But everything about this is about unique terabytes. And I have it's going to take us a while, man, 'cause we're going to have to chase some things. All right, we got to
Yep.
market, we got to hit it, we got to do all this stuff. But I see between 1 and 5,000 users that we're going to be adding over to you, and these are people that are going to be doing this via mobile. That means every selfie. We're going to be syncing up with our desktop version of what you guys are going to be are rolling out. So we're going to be talking about pounding your network with data constantly for that many users. And you know damn good and well, as soon as we turn on auto sync, which the feature is already there, that every time someone takes a selfie, guess what happens? It's going to Jackal. All of that stuff is going to Jackal. So I wasn't going to really ask you this, but I'm going to ask you now. Are you going to be able to handle our action? Because, dude, we are going to slam your network. Is it ready for Aegis?
Yeah, I mean, so with V3, definitely there could be some bottlenecks in kind of that block space bandwidth that we've been seeing every now and then with the protocol just getting really overloaded with some of these storage deals going through. V4, it culls the amount of transactions going through the network like crazy. Keeps all the security the same, but you're sending way less data through the protocol to keep those proofs verified. So even if we start slamming the protocol with more and more data, the improvements on V4 alone should keep it steady.
And that's honestly, brother, why we haven't released yet, man. Look, we only got one chance to get a consumer. It has to work. It has to work perfectly. It has to be flawless, and you can't have any kind of issues. So we're waiting for that right then. But once you guys actually push up the V4, once you and I are on this stream and we're field testing the hell out of it live and in production, because that's somebody who is supremely confident about their product, then yeah, man, we release. And when we release, you're going to get a lot of users, man. You know why? Because mobile is easy. Let me ask you, Marston, do you use an iPhone or do you use an Android?
I have an iPhone.
You have an iPhone. You're a
I
goddamn developer and you use an iPhone. You will not even be able to use our product because we're releasing first for Android, because Android, we don't have to bend the knee to Apple to actually release our product.
I have an old Android phone just sitting around for testing stuff.
Okay, well, you're going to get to test it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bell, we are way wildly over time, Bell. Whatever's left, lightning round it, man.
Last question coming in from Microman. So Jackal is a serious alternative to a NAS? That's a marketing point.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It's unfortunately cloud storage can never meet the speeds of having a server locally in your house. So if you're doing a lot of photo editing and you're building out this really crazy NAS that you're uploading back and forth to multiple times a second, yeah, it's probably not going to compete in that field just because no cloud storage can. But if you're just throwing movies on there and then you want to watch them every now and then, absolutely, Jackal is a really great alternative to a NAS.
So, okay. Was that the last one, Bell, or are we all good?
That was the last one.
Okay. I'm going to do it different here. I'm going to let Marston have his closing thought, then I'm going to give my closing thought, and then you can talk us out of here. Marston, anything you would like to tell the audience?
Yeah, just keep your eyes peeled for V4, all of the governance votes going on mainnet, because it's going to be really, really fun, and V4 is going to make the protocol way better, so please go vote for it when you do see it on chain.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and talk this up for just a second here, guys. You understand where I'm coming from here, right? Because I am actually I'm an entertainer. That's our way to say investor, but still people who go live on YouTube and stuff like that. So we don't say investor, we say entertainer. I'm an entertainer, and I am firmly believe that the entire paradigm is changing, and there's so many different ways that I can illustrate it. Now, one of the good ways is sitting right here. For those of you who dabble over here in the blockchain world, I'm going to stop saying crypto, man. I don't care about crypto. I do care about blockchain technology. You're just talk to an expert in blockchain technology, a guy that you can dream it, he can do it kind of thing. And I firmly believe that the paradigm has changed. Now, if you want to continue to live your life around this, right here, I'm pointing at the Bitcoin, the ups, the downs, Germany dumping, by the way. I don't really care about that because Germany has not made a whole hell of a lot of good decisions since about 1904. So I'm not real concerned about them dumping. This shit'll correct. But if you want to keep living in this world, then Jackal is probably not for you. If you want the rush, if you want the adrenaline, if you want all that other stuff, the meme experience, then Jackal's probably not for you. If you're one that is recognizing that the paradigm has in fact changed, that you don't want to live your life around this, that you want to live your life around a deep in product that is going to derive value from users as much as speculators, then you're going to have to recognize that the good products are actually already here. You've heard basically a year's roadmap out of Marston right here, and there's nothing in there that I don't see value in. So whether you like it or not, whether you want to play with it or not, it really doesn't matter. Jackal is inevitable. That's all I'm going to, that's the whole way I'm going to just sum all this up, is that Jackal is inevitable. Data storage is a $360 billion annual market, and it's increasing by 16% every single year. Data centers currently consume 4% of the entire world's energy. That's every bit of energy production on the entire planet is being consumed. 4% of it is being consumed by data centers. Now, why do you think that is? It is because the demand is there. But there's also going to be the niche of people that simply do not want Big Brother in every bit of their business. I work in these things. I did before I retired. But I work in these, and I know what they do with your data. I know what they do with it step by step by step. If you want to know what happens, Scott at ThePodocasts.com. I'm happy to inform you. Jackal doesn't do any of those things. The greatest thing about this product, the greatest thing about Jackal, is that every single thing that is part of their ethos, that is their core ethos, is merely a feature of a cloud storage environment that is truly private, decentralized, self-custody, and it's something that you should use. I don't care if you invest in it, but I would like you to use it. Aegis is going to release very, very soon. It's going to be mobile. So if you want to take advantage of all of that stuff, man, it's coming there. I'm not trying to piggyback. They built it. All right. We are doing exactly what is supposed to be done with a blockchain product, meaning apps, mobile apps, all that other good stuff, abstracting the Web3. We did all of that. Jackal's going to be doing all that. You heard it from the guy who's going to build it. Sometimes you're early, man. Sometimes you're late. Sometimes you simply don't see it. But you know what? Up to you. Those are my closing thoughts. Bell, why don't you talk us up, take us out? Marston, I cannot thank you enough, sir. Bell, get us out of here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who joined us on this 4th of July with Marston, we cannot say thank you guys enough. We do appreciate each and every one of you guys, and you guys threw some fantastic ideas and questions our way. Now, with that being said, we're gonna be off until Tuesday. In between now and Tuesday, if you guys have any more comments, questions, or concerns, definitely don't hesitate to email those over to Scott or myself, Scott at ThePodcast.com or Bella at ThePodcast.com. And we'll get those emails answered for you. Again, we can't thank you guys enough, and we'll see you next time.
We are dropping new videos and podcasts every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And be sure to look for us on Instagram, Twitter, and Parler at ThePodocasts. Also, visit our page at ThePodocasts.com, all one word, for all